Today on this, whatever we do here, we have a fantastic guest, and he's right here in front of me, Brent Morin, actor, comedian. Do you prefer actor, comedian, actor?
You know, because I think I identify as a comedian. I mean, like deep down over these years, like I'd always correct people. You know,
really?
Being like,
that's ballsy, dude.
Well, because I didn't consider myself a comedian. I was
really?
like, I never wanted to be a comedian. So I was like, no, I'm an actor who happens to do comedy. It would be like things like that. And then I realized, no, man, your personality everywhere, the way you act, that third eye shit, buddy, you're a comedian who happens to do other things.
Right.
So I guess comedian is fine with me.
That's so funny because you've done so much acting work, but also you've done so much stand-up work. So it's like I don't know. I mean, and also in your stand-up, you're so act out heavy. It's in fact, like, that's what I love about watching you is you're like, you just go for a while. Like it's enough time for me to turn to the comic next to me and be like, he's still in this bit, I think.
Yep.
I think that's the other character.
I'll bleed it dry.
I'll bleed it dry.
I will. It's drafts on a script. I only did stand up because I moved out here for film school. And as a writer, director, major, and actor. But the whole goal was one day I'm gonna fucking be an actor and I'm gonna write and direct my own shit and have my own production company. And at the time I was like, this is pre-Transformers, but I'm like, Shia LaBeouf, he did it. I could do it. I was a big Even Stevens fan. And then I loved him in Holes. Then he had some opportunities in some Will Smith movies. I went, because I was looking at sevens out there, you know, 6s and 7s physically. And I went, he did it. And I'd have to tell my mom. My mom is very good at judging looks. And she goes,
6s and 7s? I'm sorry, you're talking about looks right now?
Yeah, because when you look at movies, you see like Jude Law, you see Brad Pitt, you know, movie stars like, hang on. And I was like, I don't think I'm a hang on guy. But I'm like, oh, Tom Hanks, maybe I could be Tom, Mom. And then my mom would say shit to me like, is this movie star shape? You know, just stuff like that. I was like, I'm working on my head. All right. So, but then I see this little curly-haired kid and Even Stevens with his weird face. And then all of a sudden, now he's in movies. And I went, Shia. And I watched Project Greenlight. And I'm like, this fucking kid with baggy pants, he's got it. That's me. I could do what we're the same age. So I'm thinking, I just got to get to L.A. I got to get to L.A. and get there. He got Holes. I'll get fill-in. I don't know, whatever the fuck it's called, but I'll get something. He got to be next to Will Smith and Keanu Reeves. I know his whole career, but he was a great actor. And then all of a sudden he gets Transformers, and I was like, that should be me. With 0 credits, zero. I just moved into an apartment with a kid from Jersey who's Portuguese, and I only know that because he brought it up every 5 fucking minutes. And great kid, Carlos, love you. But sharing a fucking bedroom in this small film school, you know, off campus, Columbia College, Hollywood. It was a small film school, but it was a bachelor degree. Yeah. But my mom, both my parents educators, my dad didn't want me to move to LA. My mom was like a stage mom without the stage, you know, because I really hadn't done anything. She goes, now let him go. And she goes, now your goal is to go out there and not graduate. You better make it. You know, like, she wanted me because she knew I wanted it so bad. She's a teacher. She understands what makes certain kids tick. Yeah. She knew, like, I'm a desk in the hall kid. You know, like, I'm not like my brothers. This is what his passion is. Send him off. Wow. He'll work hard enough to get it. And then, yeah. So did you do any acting or anything like that when you were in school? Mm-hmm. Oh, I hate that sound in a mic. I'm sorry. No, that's fine. I'm hot, and I feel fat today. And these pants are way too fucking tight, and they sweat through, but the other's ripped in the dryer. I need to shop. I'm broke. No, what happened is I really thought I'd write, direct, and star in my own shit. And I thought I'd be like a Spike Lee or Scorsese, like every 18-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do that hardcore shit. And then I had one professor, Seth Winston. Well, actually, this guy, Rick Mitz first, I was in a screenwriting 101 class, and everybody was so nice. And we were writing, and the shit I was writing was like, you know, they were like after school specials, basically. I thought this is Traffic, you know? But I'd never touched a drug or alcohol well, I touched alcohol, but never touched a drug at the time. And I wrote something. One of the first shorts I wrote was called Addiction. 18, grew up in the suburbs of Connecticut, like a Stephen King book without it, riding bikes, had none of that shit. But I'm like, I know the struggle, And he's reading it out loud, going, "This is the most melodramatic piece of shit," and he's just being rough on me because I was like, I need to know. And then he was the one who went, "We're gonna do a little thing." He goes, "Brent, you're pretty funny in between. We're gonna do something." The next day, he goes, "We're gonna write today's class. I'm gonna give you 3 objects, everybody separate things, and you're gonna write a comedy, a comedy short. If you don't finish today, that's fine." So he gave me like some medallion, something, and I forgot the other thing, like a baseball card.
Sure.
And I don't know why, but I put together this whole short film, 15-page thing, and I wrote it in 30 minutes. And I was with a beginning, middle, and end. And he goes, "You're a comedy writer."
Wow.
He goes, "You can do," and then he introduced me to like, you ever think about stand-up? Because he could tell I'm a performer. And I said, no, I don't do stand-up. I don't want to do stand-up. I wanted to do music before stand-up.
Yeah.
I had more luck with music when I moved out here than stand-up. And I was like, no, I have no interest. And then he showed me Albert Brooks stand-up. And then he showed me like Woody Allen, like people that I liked. Then Michael Keaton. I didn't know Michael Keaton did stand-up.
Oh, well, I didn't either.
I was like, Batman was a stand-up?
Yeah.
And he goes, "This might be your end." And he goes, "You're not good looking enough to be a headshot on the desk." And he goes, "And let's be honest, you're not Hemingway." So he goes, "But if you could find something on that stage, I think it would really help you. You'd have an advantage when you leave school."
Yeah.
So that was my motivation to stand up.
Wow.
Was just to try it out. So I went to a club. I went to the Laugh Factory. It was 18 plus.
Yeah.
I didn't have a fake ID, so I could only
This
go
was
there.
here in LA.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I saw a show, and Dane Cook was there. And Dane, I grew up in New England, class of 04. That was the Dane time.
Yeah.
So everybody where I grew up was obsessed with Dane.
Yeah.
Dane was like a fucking North Star. I didn't know you could do stand-up like that.
Yeah, of course.
He was the college comic when I was in college.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So I'm like, fucking Dane Cook? And I
Yeah.
remember being in that line, people behind me going, "Who's Dane Cook?" I go, "Are you kidding?" And I realized they're not New Englanders. They don't know yet.
Oh,
6
wow.
months later, the line's up the street. Like it was
Oh,
right
my
before he
God.
popped off. But I got to see him 5 feet away work shit out. I'm like, oh, that's not like the shit I've seen. He's like me in the cafeteria. He's working shit out. And then I saw Joe Coy for the first time. I'm like, who's this bald guy? And then he's doing some orange chicken bit that's killing. And I'm seeing it live. I go, this is exactly what I do in a basement with my friends. This is it, because I would do act outs of me in a fight with nobody, all this shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'm going to try it. So next week I went, did the open mic, bombed terribly. But then I was too competitive. I was like, I got to at least get a laugh.
Yeah.
And then it started to make me realize how long-winded I was as a writer. You know how it is. It's like stand-up will teach you right away what's funny, what's not funny, and shut up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think stand-up teaches you sometimes if you get too critical, it can nip something in the bud that could be something too. I got to be careful of that. I start to put something out that I'll try and then I'll immediately shut it down. Yeah. And I think it's just that creative voice or that critical voice sometimes tampers down the creative one.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would happen is, cut to then I'm a junior, senior, and I start really realizing, like I started going to the Ha Ha Cafe and doing open mics. That's where I met, but I couldn't stay for the show because Jack, the owner, wouldn't let me unless but you have to pay to stay.
Yeah.
But then I'm seeing, I saw Jason Collins and Chris D'Elia, and nobody's famous. Nobody's got shit going on. And they were the only two normal guys I saw, really, that were laughing off stage. Everybody was morose. And I kind of hung back and did that thing you do, like in high school when you're trying to get into a group.
Yeah.
Where they're laughing, and you try to use that laugh to join a circle that... But you laugh light enough so they It doesn't bother because it helps the ego, but it's not interrupting, you know?
Yeah.
You don't add an opinion, you just go, yeah, exactly, right. And you just lightly do it. Of course, Jason's a father, so he goes, who are you, man? I'm Brent, you know, the hat, camo hat, you know, fucking 05. I'm a weirdo. We're all weirdos, except Jay is like got his life together. So he's like, hey, you guys are fucking weird. Why don't we just go to a diner? And I was like, wow, I'm going to hang out with actual comedians. I thought Jason was famous, though, because he always had that white hair. I was like, no adult is doing stand-up like, that isn't famous. Little did I know he's a rookie.
Yeah. The white hair really gives Jason Collins...
Oh, my street cred.
Yeah, if you show up at a party and he's the first person you see, you're like, I'm underdressed for this.
It's your house.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally just thinking, this guy is famous. He said it did work to his advantage because that's how he got on a regular show. He never did an open mic.
Wow.
So his first spot was a regular show.
Wow.
Where I was working just to get 5 minutes on a regular show at the Haha. But
yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm going back to my small college being like, I'm hanging out with comedians. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm at clubs. Mm-hmm. Then I start learning about Adam Sandler and Judd Apatow and all these people. And I finally told my professor, my dean, or the dean, I guess. Well, my mentor, Seth Winston. He was like my screenwriting mentor, rest in peace. But he was like, he let me skip school at night because I'd have a lot of classes at night to go do stand-up. He goes, that's what's going to make you.
Wow.
So I used stand-up that way. He came and watched me once, and I said, what do you think? And he goes, wordy.
I think you're a screenwriter. Yeah, he goes back.
He goes, wordy. But then he goes, but your act displays everything you like. You're acting out things. You're acting out dialogue. Mm. You're directing where you look, you know, and at the end of the day, you're being an actor. Mm-hmm. So I was like, he goes, keep pursuing that. That's what's going to make if you have a career, that's what's going to help. So that's why I kept doing it.
Wow. That's like... What a way to really just like, I mean, you stumbled into it. I mean, you were given direction for it, but at the same time, you really just kind of stumbled into it. I mean, it's crazy that you were like, I didn't want to really do it, but then someone told me that this is where I should be. It's crazy too because I couldn't see you as anything other than what you are today, you know?
Well, and you know this, it's like then you have a taste of some of the other parts of the business. And at the end of the day, it's like if you're in the game to be famous, you're probably not going to make it.
Yeah.
But if you're in this because there's something deep down that it's just something in you.
Yeah. Like
to the core, I'm an artist. I'm creating. We're creators. Mm-hmm. So I have to let this shit out. Otherwise, I'm a lunatic. Like the pandemic taught me that. My parents were ready to 5150 me. You know, they're like, give him a stage. And you just realize you have that. I fell in love with stand-up. Yeah. To the point that I'm honored to be a comic because then all of a sudden, like, they were like, you know, do the stand-up, you'll get the agent, you'll get the Just for Laughs, you'll get the sitcom, you'll get the movie. I got all of it. Yeah. So, but then there's times where it's like, hold, Brent, say this line, you know, and certain things you go, I don't think it's as funny as this line, though. Yeah. And then you just feel less than, you know, it's just a different thing. And then afterward, I would always just go and do stand-up that night and be like, this. Yeah. This is pure art. This is great.
So that's where you feel most at home is when you're on stage. Yeah. And you start, like, when you go on stage, the way you start, I've noticed is it's different every time. Yeah. What is it that you're thinking right before you go on stage?
Well, if it's local, I'm thinking about one bit I want to work on and what's the energy I want to lead into it. Because when I'm doing an hour or an hour and a half, I kind of treat it like a one-man play. Yeah. So it's gonna be a meticulous show on the road. Mm-hmm. But when I'm in town, I go, man, I really got to work on that fun uncle bit. What will get me to the fun uncle bit? Well, you don't want to be the fun uncle, so you should get up there a little. I don't know what's going on in my life. I got to figure it out, you know. And it allows people into where's he going with this. But if I'm like talking about my gay brother who's a doctor, like. He pisses me off how smart he is. What's going on? You guys having a good time? I'll tell you about my life, you know. It's just something that's going to lead in where if it's in the hour and a half, those are the segues through the entire show. Yeah. So it's just finding the story. But in 15 minutes, I can't really do that. So especially because you're right, I am long-winded. What I've learned what I loved about being in film school and having mentors that ripped everything apart and being a comedian, which is great, is we become used to silence. So I can push and squeeze everything out of something. And trust me, I have really gone too long. So many things. Like 5 minutes over. It's like, dude. It went from that guy is really funny to we got to call someone. Because that is, now this just feels wrong. Like, and then I'll just get in. If I'm with one of my best buds, I always bring, if I can, like, hey, I need you to watch this bit. My buddy who builds motorcycles, I'll bring. And he's hilarious, but he's not in the business or anything. And then I'll be like, I'll just get in the car with him and he'll go, Jesus Christ, wordy as shit. I mean, what the fuck? Buddy. He goes, that was a breakdown. That wasn't even funny. And I go, a little too far, huh? And he goes, way too far. He goes, you should have stopped in the beginning. I was like, all right, well, now I know I can push back a little bit. But I'll push it as far as I can to go. Yeah. And then sometimes, if like I'm at the Comedy Store, I'll go, too far? And they're like, yeah. Things have gotten out of hand on that stage. But I go, you know, it's like a script. Well, cut that page, cut this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can't chop something down unless you go absolutely so.
You got to push it.
Yeah.
You got to take the risk. It's like that Curb ep where he talks about, there's a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Larry David is talking about some little kid's big penis. And then he goes to the dad and goes, kid's got quite a penis on him. And then the dad gets offended. And then later in the episode, his wife goes, why would you say that, Larry? And he goes, I took a risk. That's comedy in a nutshell. Like, he summed it up like, whoops. Like, I mean, the amount I've done that in life where I go, don't say it. Don't say it. Let's see what happens. What's the reaction here? You got a weak chin, huh? I'm like, what the hell did you just say that to Miles Teller for?
But I think that's something that is it does make you unique, and it is a strength of yours. I remember in your first special on Netflix, I'm Brent Morin. You had this crazy act out where you're on your knees and you're getting you're getting walked around by.
Oh, my dad?
Yeah. It's how from where something starts to where it gets to. That's really where there's so much art. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the art, is the trajectory of this is it started here and it started broad and then it just got so specific. And if you're still with me, there's a payoff. Most fun. Yeah.
Like, I'm not David Tell. I'm not these guys who could just joke. Mm-hmm. You know, like the monologue writers at Conan were so good at those jokes. I can't do that. The way I judge if a bit work or could work, if I could do it for a minute or 10, then I'm in.
Wow.
Then I can find the space of it. That came from just going home for Christmas. My dad is shrinking. He's either shrinking or buying bigger clothes. And it's my mom's, my grandmother, my mom's side. It's Italian side, so everybody's loud, New Englandish, and my dad comes in with this. I mean, it's like, the hell are you wearing? His pants are just like hammer pants. And he's my hero. And I go, Dad, every time I come home, you're like a turtle who replaced his shell. Like, what the fuck? And so now I'm laughing. I go, you're shrinking. I mean, are you my real dad? So it's all just roasting my father, and then started just doing a little act out, which then turned into him being this little gnome that takes me into a different world. That just comes from what you're talking about, where you have the idea, and then it's people laugh at the initial thought of somebody shrinking. Where does that go? Yeah. And then I pictured Christmas, and then I was making fun of this little train set around the house. I go, Dad, did you get here on this?
Yeah.
That was for Christmas, one of those train sets. I go, Dad, your ride's here. Things like that. And I was like, well, where do I go? But with that as well, I also messed, in the special, I cut it off at the right time. In reality, I had done it at the Comedy Store and stuff way too long.
We saw the edited version.
Yeah, because at the store, I go into the world, I meet my real family, then I fall in love with somebody, then all of a sudden I get divorced, and then it just keeps going, and I'm on my knees for fucking 30 minutes, just going off, and to the point that people are ordering drinks. They're like, "Where is he right now?" And then I get off with the hot ears. You ever have hot ears and a hot heart where you're just I'm just embarrassed. Like you didn't know your penis was out for the entire set. And you're like, oh, it was? And you're like, oh, no.
that walk back through the room when you what sucks is in the OR at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
If you bomb there, you pass the people that you just bombed in front of.
Yeah, you got to pass them, then you got to pass people. And if you pass like Mark Maron or something, he goes with his nicotine gum just fucking looking at me going, really pushing these days, huh, Brett? You know, like, all right. I'm like, okay, man.
Yeah. I think if you pop in to watch a set of yours and you're in one of these act outs for a while, you just got to be like, I'm not sure where he is right now. He could be anywhere. This could be at the beginning. This could be near the end. Yep. I have no idea. But what I've noticed is that a lot of comics who are from the New England area, they have this inherent sort of they're comedically acclimated already because of their upbringing. Yeah, it's just they're so inclined to busting people's balls. Like that's how they show love. And I know that. It's just their brain is just wired to sort of think that way, you know? And is that the
healthy?
Way that,
no.
Yeah, no.
Learn that on the road.
Is that it? I mean, if you don't have, like, how is your what's your process for how you start a whole bit? I know you said you start by being like, can I do this from 1 minute to 10 minutes? But if you have an idea, do you ever think about what's frustrating about it? Do you think about what's weird about it? Or do you immediately go to like, okay, I think this can be funny?
It's usually, oh man, this will be funny later. Or, I think that's that third eye thing where I think guys like us will have like, even in the midst of something that could seem traumatic, or, there's some kind of deflection of like, this is what we see life through. And this is where in the back of our head, we're thinking, this is something. And like, I don't write anything out, shocker, but I'll write down a little, bullet point, and it'll be like, bring it on, banned from movie theater, or something like that. Where, because you go back in your past too, once you figure out the rhythm of how to be a comic and what your rhythm is. And so a lot of what I've been doing now is going back. But like in life, I'll have like a moment when I was in Maine. I was telling your wife I was in Maine, and I'm with these guys from Texas because we all had this house and we're on a pontoon boat, and now I'm driving it. And I realized I'm not a man somehow because I was doing it wrong. But they had a calmness to them, like, it's all right. And I felt like the calmness is making me feel less like a man. So then I wrote less like a man, Texas. And so, I don't know where that is yet, but where it will fit. But one of the guys put his hand on my hand to be like, you got it. And I was like, don't put me through that. So I think it's personally, then I take it to the stage and then I go, there's something there. A lot of times it will be like, there's something there. I just don't know what it is. Like I had a bit back. I did a thing from, I never really thought about the process that much until at least my process. Cause I think everybody's process is different. Wildly different. I mean, I see people like Neil Brennan with written out pages like he's fucking handing in an essay in high school, But then I'll just get up there and be like, hey, what we doing? But I like, there's just different people that have different things. But it wasn't until I was with an ex of mine, when we weren't exes, but where it went. But I was working on a bit that became the closer for the stand-ups about, getting in an argument with my girlfriend. So basically what happened is I went to New York to do shows. My girlfriend at the time, we were in love. And we go and I do these shows. But then we get in an argument and she walks away. And we're in the city of New York. And usually you follow and I would apologize or whatever. And this time I just let her go. And then I saw her disappear into the city. And I knew I was going to have to pay for that. So the real story is I apologized. I said, I lost you. I had a light change. But I thought about, like, I got to figure this out. So now we're in this fight and about how I don't care about her. But I do care about you, But during that walk back, I got an ice cream cone. So, because it was hot out. So I got an ice cream cone, but I was like, I cannot bring an ice cream cone inside to the hotel because nothing says I don't give a shit about you more than an ice cream cone. And then I said, that's funny. So that third eye acts up later after we made up. So then I'm doing it at the Comedy Store, and it's bombing, but it's a little bit of the story because it hadn't made leeway. And she goes, really? You had an ice cream cone before you fucking... And I said, no. And then I had to go, I lied to you. Yeah, I did. It was hot. Did you not have some type of sherbet or step into somewhere cool? You came home with a fucking jacket, so you obviously went to some clothing store. Anyway, that's our like internal behind the scenes of it. But the bit still wouldn't work. And she kept going, why are you still working on that thing about letting the wind take you or something? And I went, there's something there. And I can't explain it, but there was something there. And then it started to work. And then I said, I think it's a closer. I don't know why I thought it was a closer, but I was like, this is a closer. Because nothing says I don't give a shit about you more than holding an ice cream cone. To me, just felt like a closing line after me acting something out.
It's a great line.
And I went, I just can't figure out the writing. So what I would do, it was something I learned watching Dov Davidoff. Dov Davidoff, back when I was first passed at the Comedy Store, I would watch him destroy at the Improv and shit and all that. Then he'd go to the Comedy Store and he'd sit on the stool and calmly say jokes. And then get a chuckle. And I'm like 25, 26. And I would go, why did you do that? Like, and he goes, Chris Rock told him, listen, if you can get the laughs without the energy, then the joke's worth exploring. Right? You know, like if you can get a chuckle, you don't have to kill. Just if you get the... So I started doing that bit without any of the energy. And just so I could see if that punchline would work, and I would get a...
Right.
That's funny. That's funny. You know, you'd hear that. Finally, I was just doing that, torturing myself in front of her. I mean, she's probably DMing other guys. But just going, why am I dating this fucking weirdo? Just bringing up our breakup, but he won't stop doing it in front of me. Anyway, she gets in the car, and she's very smart, and she's a great writer herself, and she was like, you're bombing on purpose. And I was like, kind of like, you knew? And she goes, yeah, I just want to know why. Then I explained it to her. She goes, that's insane. And I was like, but I promise you it will be a closer. I was able, it's like when you slow something down, at least for me, I'm able to figure out, oh, there's a chuckle there. I'll keep that sentence. So where are we going after this? Okay, that works. Cut that shit out. Yeah. Because I didn't need to know their plans. Although that sounds nice. We should go there after this. Just keep going. And then eventually it just became the closer. And so when I did it as a closer, we had already broken up. But I called it my breakup mixtape. She hit me up going, wow, that was pretty fucking tough. How did you pull that off?
Wow.
And I said, just a lot of crying. Some booze in the mix, some weed with some local comics, and just talking like this too much. Yeah,
that's incredible, though. I mean, I mean, we all kind of have that instinct, that breathing thing that says, like, no, I do think something's here. I just can't give it up. Yeah. I don't know why I can't give that thing up. But I'm so glad that you saw it for what it was, and that you were able to just kind of be like, no, let me just ride this out. Like, God, dude, it's like. The process of even hearing that is just grueling.
Oh, it's horrible. I think I'm the Irish Catholic in me. I think a glutton for punishment. I think I deserve it. Yeah. Because I really could have done it a different way. But I just resonated with, at the time, Dove would destroy everywhere. Then he would do these things where I knew what he was going to do, but they didn't. I loved the idea where it didn't feel like a bit. It felt like a therapy session. It felt like something coming out. And I was like, that's what I like. Because people ask me, what's your style? I go, therapy with laughs. And it's like this stream of consciousness. Yeah. And if I could figure out a way to control that, then that's kind of the fun. So for me, it's like if I have an idea, the idea gets something. Yeah. What I say now on stage is, I really don't have a punchline for anything. But I'll go, there's something there. Sometimes I think I'll figure it out. Sometimes I think I've peaked. Because... I used to find it, and now recently I can't find it. So I just go, well, there's something there. You guys like that? I'm asking them. I've had a few recently that I came up with, and I'm like, yeah. And then, well, damn it. Well, there's something there. You guys like that? Yeah, it's good. You think I should keep trying it? I never used to do that. That's who I am now. I don't think... any 25-year-olds looking at me going, how did you do that? The way I did to Dove. I really have given up sometimes. I'm like, come on. It's funny.
But what I think, like, your comedy is so, like, I feel so much social, like, so it's like socially self-deprecating. You know, you wind up in these like socially exacerbated situations. It's funny that you bring up Curb, because Curb's a great example of doing that as well. And then it's just like, okay, now this person is in this situation because of their own projections or their own anxieties. And it's like, you know, when is the time for you that you felt like, oh, that's what I'm going to just tap into and lock into? Or is that something right from screenwriting you were like, no, I know that's where I need to focus on?
No, that happened, honestly, just, you know, the 50 shows and open mics you do. And you're emulating every comedian. You start looking up and even emulate your friends. You're doing certain things. I think for me, where it like, the thing that like got me was was it that? Yeah, it was I was working as a PA at the Tonight Show with Conan, and Bradley Cooper was on the show, and my job was to walk the celebrities to their dressing room, and then after they do their segment they leave, and he was just so handsome, and like, this is like after the Hangover, like, he's just awesome looking. Suit, oh fuck, like, look great. I'm not gay, but it's not gay with him, but I would, you know, and what I would do, I work a 9 to 5, and then I go and do 3-4 mics that night. And he was leaving, and he was so nice, but I was like, he ain't gonna say bye to me. I don't know why I was being bashful, but I'm like, he's not saying bye. And I'm walking to the car. He goes, hey, Brian, have a good night. And Brent, he knew me, so I just went night night, and I said night. And everybody laughed. If it wasn't all these ball-busting East Coasters to call back the Northeast attitude, because Conan had shipped everybody from the East Coast there. So everybody who worked there had worked for Conan in New York. They go, motherfucker just said night. So I was night for 2 weeks. And I said, well, if that resonates with them, maybe there's something there. And it was the first self-deprecating shit I told. Yeah, I remember that. And it made me think about my dad in a weird way, because I realized my dad is my hero. He's my king. And I realized, like, in that moment, why does night resonate with people? And I realized because human beings all fuck up and internalize shit when they leave. Yeah. And my dad always walked the coolest, the most confident, always just the shit. And it was because he always taught me from his mistakes, not his rewards. So in life, he could be completely him. He didn't have to put on anything. It's like people that lie have too many lies to keep track of. But if you're just honest, your shoulders drop, life gets easier. You're not faking anything. Yeah, I shit in your bathroom. I'm sorry. You know, like, you know, eventually get to that point. But night, when I called out me nighting with him and then my sexual attraction to him, even though I'm not gay, people resonated with that. And I went, and it was the most calm I was on stage, in a sense, because I was being me. In a weird way. That's that's the shit I would tell my cousin when I went home from work, but I wouldn't say on stage. When I get on stage, I'm doing a bit about Care Bears or some shit that I don't know. Well, I wasn't really, and every comic's different. Like, I can't do political, I can't do topical, I can't do this, but I can get up there and make the shit I was saying my roommates laugh for 10 minutes. But you know how it is. It's like, to break that barrier of comfort is so tough. Once you do, man, that's when it's calm. Because then all of a sudden, I can even write a bit when I'm on stage. You know? And this is where my brain works. But it really comes from the fact that, like, if I'm that open on stage and that open off stage, I mean, it'd be annoying if I was that much. But if I'm like that, that's my father's the most secure man I know, because he admits he's wrong. He admits that he fucked up, that he's flawed, that he's done things wrong to fix it. He doesn't play victim. Like, he plays that, you know, he's in AA for years, and he just learned probably a lot of shit. And so for me, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So once I did night, then Mike Get the Car was the one that, like, blew me up, where, like, you ever try to leave and say something fucked up? Because then I started exploring all the shit I messed up with, that if I just embraced it, maybe I would have been with Irene Skouloutis. Sorry, I messed up that goodbye. But, you know, when you're young and insecure, you're just like, well. And then you leave.
Yeah.
I started saying, wow, this thing that I thought was embarrassing, this insecurity of being scared of pretty girls or losing a fight or wanting to be a man, but also loving Titanic, like this thing, like, nah, man, like this little shield you're putting up is bullshit. Like a real man should be in touch with everything.
Yeah.
And like, it was like simultaneously doing stand-up and growing up and life experiences they started melding together, where now I can admit when I'm wrong. I can do certain things, like the one thing I'm battling now though is life can kick you in the ass, and I need to find a way to, hey man, you're still okay. So just don't be too self-deprecating. Yeah. You have wins. Yeah. So have the wins. Now I'm trying to work that thing out, because when I'm off stage, it's not like that.
What's the tool that you fall back on, or what's the thing that you use to get yourself out of that place? Because I mean, all comics do to some degree or another, but especially trying to find yourself when you find yourself in a rut, what it is you're doing to get yourself out of it.
Well, a rut, man, that's a tough one. That's a day-to-day.
Yeah.
Besides medication, obviously, that's a family business. Which, by the way, is great when you have a father that doesn't make you feel embarrassed. Yeah. To take an SSRI or have an antidepressant. Yeah. Especially when shit is like doing really well. Yeah. There was a time I had every billboard on Sunset and was starring on a TV show. I've never been more depressed because I was looking at something superficial to make me happy, and it's not true. Yeah. And so, one thing that really helps, besides working out or doing things like that, at least for me mentally, is gratification journal. Just, it's an old AA trick that my dad taught me, but he's like, I want you to sit down every day, write the day, and write the things you're happy about. Yeah. Things you're proud you got. Yeah. Your family loves you, your friends love you, you're doing what you love for a living. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. It was so stupid to me. Yeah. For like the first month. Then when I missed a few days because I left it when I went on the road, it was like wax on, wax off. And my dad kind of looks like Mr. Miyagi. So it's kind of funny. You trusted old wise looking man. My dad's Asian. But that, in a stupid way, that fucking thing works. Yeah. And like anything, I'll forget. And then I have to go back sometimes. Yeah. But I think one thing that resonates with me, and if I could tell any of your listeners about any like depression or anxiety, it could be a superpower too. As my dad, the greatest dad that's ever lived in my mind. And I wouldn't have that dad if he wasn't so in touch with anything that he's dealt with, and was willing to teach from his mistakes, not his rewards, and to let his kids know that it's okay to be a certain way. Yeah. And have that kind of perspective to help so many kids in his profession. Absolutely. So I think it could be a power. I agree. I mean, I think the fact that he is in touch with himself and not imparting that onto you, but just giving you the okay. That's fucking rare. And that's even more rare for like East Coast dads. There's not a chance in the fucking world that would be okayed. But the fact that you have that, it gives you this texture. It gives you this permission to just be like, I can be a real human being. I can like things can come from a real place, and it's not all ups, but there's something that's very there's something that's real, something that has somewhat of a foundation to you that isn't so superficial. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about Undateable, because that was a crazy show. It was a show that like it changed the land. It started one way and then it changed the landscape in another way. What was your whole audition process? What was it like when you were on the show? Tell me about it. Well, it was kind of funny. So I was working at I worked the first 9 months at the Tonight Show with Conan. It was the first like kind of real gig job I got as a PA, like so I could have health insurance and and I could do stand up and all that. Like a friend of mine's stepmom was the director of the first 6 years of Late Night with Conan, and at the time I was doing construction, door-to-door sales, and I was a bartender, waiter. And she says, if you build this deck for me for our pool, I'll put your resume in. So wow. I said 100%. It's like $400 a week or something after whatever. But I got insurance. I'm on the lot, and I could still do stand up because I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do whatever. So I'd worked the first 9 months. That was like a 9 to 7, but I'd still do the job. Conan, but in my mind, I went, this is an institution. It's not a TV.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Wow.
Was I wrong?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that show, I didn't know that you could cancel the Tonight Show with Conan. This is the first time I bought some Christmas gifts for my parents, you know? And the funniest part is I had to take a taxi back to my shithole apartment in Van Nuys, and I left my laptop in the cab, and then the next day I find out we're getting canceled. So I went, Jesus Christ. To Conan's credit, he paid for everybody I'll get us another show and I'll pay everybody's shit, which allowed me some free time to like do more spots, run around. But then I get to Conan, and it was much more lax. My bosses, Steve Hollander, Jackie Stathis, Greg Kassoff, I was a stage PA at this point. They started seeing that I was hustling a lot, doing a lot of spots, you know, where like they'd allowed me to go do auditions or whatever was going on, but I still didn't have a rep. Cut to, I'm getting towards the tail end of my shit. I end up signing with 3 Yards. I booked Just for Laughs. My boss lets me leave. After Just for Laughs, things started coming in, you know, agents, and Chelsea Lately was big at the time. He let me go do Chelsea Lately.
Wow.
I would go across the lot from Warner Brothers to Universal to do Lately, and then come back to give the blue cards to Conan.
Wow.
And Conan would go, why are you wearing makeup? And I go, I just did Chelsea Lately. He goes, why are you here? And I go, because I'm not getting paid. It doesn't work that way. But my boss gave me the best thing. He said, listen, eventually meetings were coming in where I had to leave at like 11 to go to Santa Monica during traffic, and then try to come back to the Valley for a 5 p.m. show. And he goes, listen, Brent, I don't want you to ask me to go on any of these meetings or auditions anymore. And I'm thinking in this moment, I'm going to have to quit right now. He goes, I want you to tell me where you're going. I'll cover for you.
Wow.
And he goes, you don't belong here. All right? Okay? Go make it. Come back. Be a guest. I'll cover for you.
Wow.
All right? Be back here whenever you can.
Yeah.
So to have a boss like that, Steve Hollander, to let me do that shit.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Gave me none of that Irish Catholic guilt of I'm letting down my employers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do the JFL. I do the New Faces. I booked this Fox Showcase thing. I do that. This woman, Liza Katz. Well, she was Conan's, or not Conan's, Bill Lawrence's partner, Jeff Ingold's assistant.
That's a lot of words.
It was names, way too many names. You saw me panic. It's up there with Fortitude. But I literally got, because of her, she goes, you should meet this comedian, Brent. So I'm still working at Conan. And right before this, the same day, Jeff Ross, not that Jeff Ross, but Jeff Ross, Conan's executive producer, his partner, had told me that I'm losing my job after the new year because they're downsizing, you know, which is fine because everybody was whatever. But I had this meeting with Bill Lawrence on the Warner Brothers line, and I had to drive Conan's car to get gas first. So, because nobody wanted to drive Conan's cars. I love to. Because they were stick. Nobody wanted to drive stick, like interns and stuff. It wasn't my job, but I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I would back it in and shit, you know, and he hated that. He was like, making me look bad. But I loved it. But so I go over, I run across to do this meeting. I said, Steve, he goes, go. I go and I meet with Bill. I said, it should only be 20 minutes. I was in there for like an hour and a half. Me and Bill Lawrence hit it off. Bill Lawrence created Scrubs, Spin City, Ted Lasso now, you know,
so
Shrinking.
Yeah.
And we just hit it off. He's from Connecticut. I mean, he came from money, but he's from Connecticut. He loved musicals. He's played basketball. Like, he has the same insecurity, loves art, you know, certain things. So we just really hit it off. That night, I happened to be headlining the Improv, like one of those one-nighter go for it shows.
Yeah.
And I had talked about Rick Glassman on the show or in the meeting and everything. So Rick's on it. Anyway, he says, yeah, I'm going to come. You know as well as I know.
He's not going to be there.
Coming.
Yeah.
Well, I must have done something because he came.
Wow.
He came with Jeff and his assistant and Liza. And they watched the whole show. They got to meet Rick that way, who ended up on the show.
Yeah.
Because Rick and I were neighbors in my apartment complex.
Wow.
Yeah, he was my Kramer.
Yeah. He's everybody's Kramer.
Yeah. You know, he had a copy of my key, but I couldn't get one of his. That's true. He was just coming in at 3 a.m., borrowing plates. I don't know what he's doing. But I hang out a little bit, and it kind of goes away. But me and Rick play basketball. We join his basketball game while I'm still working at Conan. Next thing you know, he comes to me and he goes, it's pilot season.
Yeah.
When that existed. And I'm still working at Conan, but my time is coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm still not headlining. There's nothing really hitting. And he goes, I got this show Undateable. We don't know what it is yet. I want you to come in. So I go in multiple times. I think, and then he had Rick come in too. We both auditioned, and it was great because we got to go through it together.
Yeah.
Because, like, cut to, I'll just get to the point. We have a studio test. I've never had a studio test, and it's at Warner Brothers. Yeah. And Rick and I are both studio testing on the same, like, day, because Bill knows Rick's a waiter at a steakhouse. I'm a PA at Conan. Neither of us have a SAG card, you know? So it's like we're pulling in for this studio test. And Rick goes, I go to Rick, I go, Rick, listen, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to need to be with you tonight. And Rick goes, if this doesn't work out for either of us, I don't want to see you ever again. So we're just fucking around, and what helped so much for me is that Rick goes, hang on. And he's got his headshots. He goes, I got to finish. And he's on the back with a purple magic marker writing his resume, like on the back of a headshot. But all he's writing is purple $signs. And then on another one, he writes WB plus Ricky equals money. You know, like things like that. Just the dumbest shit. Just stuff that's going to make you calm as hell. Yeah. And then we walk in, and the guy I'm reading with there's like some hot dude. And Rick's like, look how good looking that guy is. So the whole room is set up for, I mean, it's so intimidating. Yeah. But I'll never forget the test.
How many people are in there?
For the studio test, I'd say there was about 12. For the network test, that was about 25. Yeah. It's actually the network test where that happened. The studio test is where he did the headshot thing. Yeah. And he handed it to everybody, and he goes, can you guys turn that over real quick, though? And then they laughed. They chuckled. But he goes, you know, funny. And I said, how'd it go with the headshot? He goes, I had to tell them to turn it over. You know, he goes, I think I bombed. Then we go in for the network test, and he goes, if I don't get this, I don't want to speak to you again. So we go in. We're at Universal. We're at NBC. I'm reading. I think I was reading with Sean Patton. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sean Patton was going to be the Chris D'Elia role. Oh, wow. So it was me and Patton testing. They were going to go like more of a John Belushi style. And Bill pulled us aside and says, go for it. Improvise, go nuts, which is what every comic wants to hear. Yeah. So we just went off the rails. But Rick was destroying, because Rick's now going for the character he ended up playing. But he's killing, you know. Then I go in, and I read with him, and I do the best I can, whatever. That night, we don't hear anything right away. No, that's not true. Sorry. That day, this other guy was with us. He was reading for the Chris role as well, because it was Chris's character supposed to be like the hot guy who gets everyone. So there was Sean Patton and then like a really good-looking guy. Rick, of course, is flirting with him, and Rick's not gay, but we're close. So we appreciate, is what we always say. So I have to go back to work. I go right across the lot, back to work, sit at my cubicle. Andy Richter's there. My bosses are there. It's lunchtime. And they're like, so how'd it go? I go, I don't know. When would I hear, Andy? Like, how do I? Yeah. He goes, well, if it's good, you should hear soon for a network show. I go, well, it's been 10 minutes. Yeah. He goes, relax. Anyway, I get a call from Bill. And he's like, hey, bud, congratulations, you got the role. Wow. And I go, like, today? Like, I did well today? He goes, no, you got the show. I go, like, call mom's show or not call mom's show? And he goes, you got it. And also, Rick got it too. If you want to call him, let him know. And they couldn't find the other guy. Sean didn't get it, but then the other good-looking guy didn't get it either. Wow. So I call Rick, and I go, Rick, we got it. He goes, yeah, it's great. It's great stuff. And I go, why are you being weird? because I'm with the guy who didn't get it, and he just found out. I go, who, Sean? You know Sean? No, the hunk guy. I go, what do you mean you're with him? Well, we hit it off. We're at lunch. I go, did you take him on a date? What the fuck's going on? Robert Buckley's his name, by the way. He's a great actor. He ended up killing it on a bunch of shit, but he goes, I just don't want to be rude. I go, where are you? Casa Vega. We're just eating. I go, you just met him. He's nice. So Rick couldn't even enjoy. He goes, who's that? No one. No one? I'm no one? We just booked a sitcom. We can quit our jobs. Relax. It was a funny. I go, so Rick went, that guy's pretty hot, too. Hang it down. Might as well have been like, in a hotel room, we have room service. But like, in the fucking 10 minutes I'm in a room testing, how did you build a relationship enough to then go to lunch with this stranger? And what's your end goal there? Yeah. What's your end goal? It goes, he's just a good-looking guy. I go, you keep saying that, but he's funny. Yeah, but you keep So that was like my first experience of being like, I came back into the room and got to tell my boss first. I said, book the sitcom. And coincidentally booked it on my 2-week notice.
Wow.
Wow. And then cut to 3 months later. This is why I tell every PA or intern or anybody. 3 months later, we're shooting a pilot on the same lot, the stage over, and I have my own parking spot.
Wow. And you still have Conan's car.
Sorry, go ahead. You had that happen where you didn't get cast because of something?
Always. Well, with Undateable, it was happening a little bit where they made me like, my hair was kind of thinning, and I wasn't a no. Bill really fought for me, and they didn't really want me, so they had to like take me to Lorna. She's awesome. This hairdresser, and put on like extensions, like all this stuff. Where I'm going, I'm gonna lose this role because of my fucking hairline. And then they,
oh no.
Well, it's also a thing where I learned this, at least in television, and I guess movies as well, but more network. When you're the star of a show, sorry, my heartburn. When you're the star of a show, I had gluten-free pasta last night, and it will not stop. They really focus on your look. Mm-hmm. So they'll be like, clean shaved. And then they see me with my chin. They go, let's put a little facial hair on. And then they're literally looking at me like I'm a doll. Going like, what do you think? Can you turn to the side? And they're turning me like I'm some model or some shit. It's like, they go, yeah, I don't know. I think his jaw is more defined if he has facial hair.
And you hear all of this.
Yes, they're doing it to me. And they go, let's get him a blue shirt. Well, if we tuck in, we're going to have to get pants that help the ass. Things like that.
Yeah.
Where everybody else is just giggling and having fun, and everybody's having a great time over there. I'm in there like some AI mannequin. Just like, all right, no, not those. All the notes were not performance-based. They were all like, we need to do something with this. We need to make sure he's this. And I was like, guys, like I said in the beginning of this, 6 and a 7. Let's just make me the everyman. All right? You're not fixing Jared Leto here. I mean, I had 5 people working on me in the makeup chairs, and everybody else would just come in like, boom, boom, bye, It was just me and the girls who left first. I had maintenance teams on me to just look average, to look undateable. They had people on me. It's like the insecurity I was dealing with during those times of little cut. What, was my performance wrong? A team comes in. And I'm like, all right. And I'm just got really sad.
With the
cut
show-
one more time. Did she just lick her hand and pull her hand out?
Yeah, you hear the scalp.
That's when we started writing all hair bits like Lego head and all this shit into the show. And then when we went live, I think is the big thing where it got.
Yeah.
That's all Bill Lawrence. Bill was just trying to keep the show alive.
Yeah.
And, we're a bunch of unknowns and shit. And so he was like, what if we go live? So we go live. First thing he did is he put a dog in it. And he goes, nobody cancels a dog. So we had a dog for a minute. And then we went live. And we did every season we thought it was over. But season 2, we went live, and he convinced Ed Sheeran to do the show.
Wow.
Because I guess his family and him, they know Ed. And this is like, Ed really like, Ed is already like huge now.
Yeah.
This is Ed like just got huge.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like everybody wants Ed huge.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with Ed.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
Come on.
He's incredible.
Sensitive
Yeah.
man. I don't know what that means. But he gets Ed and Bill tells me, yeah, he thinks it's like the number one show in the world. But Ed comes on. He goes, I'm going to have you work with Ed. Ed's going to do a song, and then you're going to take him off the stage. It's all live, and I'm so excited to meet Ed.
Wow.
I envy him.
Yeah.
His music, I just love him. Anyway, I hit it off with Ed right away. But we're doing a live East Coast, West Coast. And in the episode, my character kicks Ed out of the bar, and then everybody in the episode is supposed to smack me. It's like live television bullshit, and then Chris is supposed to wax me. Chris, of course, wasn't listening during the waxing example, you know, with the person that waxes people. And I was like, Chris, can you pay attention to how to do this? He goes, yeah, you just pull it. And I go, you don't know anything about life. It's my nipple. So I'm getting waxed and slapped and just thrown around this entire episode by Mimi. Everybody is in this damn show.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're doing it live East and live West Coast. Bill wanted to do live East Coast, live West Coast. And they hadn't done that in years. I was part of it. Like the sell of it was like, we're going to do it both coasts.
Wow.
And we're going to have a phone on the set where people, when they're watching, can call it during the show and then they pick it up, which happened multiple times. Like Ron was really good at it. He'd pick it up like, hello, we're shooting right now. And like,
bye.
Hey, she's got to be crazy for somebody in a basement with their friends to be like, oh, shit, we were on the show. Anyway, between the shows, I'm bleeding. My face hurts. I got 18 people working on my head. And I'm like, everybody else is having a great time. I mean, nipple is just killing me. And they go, and Lorna is like, how you doing? I go, this fucking, I swear to God, I need a goddamn drink. This is nuts. I don't know Ed is in there. It's like the C's part. Ed goes, mate, you want a drink? Bill gave me the good stuff. And I go, oh, no, after the show would be, he goes, come on in. After you're done, come to the dressing room. We'll have a cocktail, a drink. And I was like, well, all right. Lauren and everybody looks at me. I go, what the fuck are you looking at? It's Ed Sheeran. So I go into his dressing room. He's got 2 shots with 2 limes on it of Don Julio 1942 lined up, 1 light over it in the dressing room. Wow. And he's got a security that looks like, like the fucking extras from Snatch, so it's intimidating. I'm being intimidated by an acoustic artist. And he goes, come here, mate. And I was like, okay, all right. We got another show, though. So I do the shot with him, and I'm like, oh, yeah, man, it's great hanging with you. And he's looking at me. I go, yeah, what the fuck is happening? What? And he's like, that's all you're going to do. I'm already 4 in. And I'm like, well, and I hear the giggling of the Snatch bodyguards, like, and I'm like, no, I'll do another. So I do 3. And I walk out of the room because I'm like, I gotta be a person for the show. I walk out and I see Bill Lawrence in the hallway. He goes, what the fuck are you doing in Ed's room? I go, you gave him the good stuff. so I'm fine for the show, okay? That speaks to my problems, but I'm fine. I'm actually feeling great. Yeah. And I have a good show. But at the end of the show, it ends with Ed coming back, smacking me, and then he hugs me. But that. Ed only has to be in the beginning of the show and the end of the show. So he's got an hour to just be by himself. And so he's boozing. He's young. He's on fire. It's not his show. So he comes back out, and he says to Rick Glassman, to call back our homosexual tendencies, he goes, you think he'd mind if I kissed him? To Rick. And Rick goes, are you kidding? That's his wheelhouse. Because I've already made out with multiple people on TV. Multiple men. So that's what Rick says, like, yeah. So Ed smacks me. I don't know he's going to kiss me. He just fucking kisses me. Of course I go in. He smells like vanilla. He kisses way better than Santino, the other redhead I've kissed on television. Santino's so aggressive with the teeth. And we pull away and we hug, and then but we immediately have to get to me being waxed. So they have to go set up because there's a quick commercial break. So now I'm in the chair and I gotta take the shirt off. And Chris D'Elia looks down and he goes, congratulations, you're famous. About me being kissed. He goes, I wish he kissed me.
Wow.
And then I get waxed and I just go, Ed, and I grab Ed. Ed goes, I don't think rappers are going to work with me again. As a joke. And then that night, we had the most Irish drinking I think you could ever have. I woke up to a picture of him dragging me at the after party. Because it's the season rap party, maybe the series rap party. And we just went for it because we had the good stuff. We took all Bill's good stuff and just went nuts on it. We're doing sing-alongs. We're having the best time. And I just wake up to a text from Ed Sheeran. And at the time, I'm living in my shithole apartment I still lived in when I was a PA. The mattress on the floor, my cousin in the other room, you know, like, and I wake up to a text that says Ed Sheeran, and all it says is cunt. And I go, Ed? Is that actually Ed? I go, Ed? Wait, what? And he goes, we went too far last night. And then he sends a photo. Oh, no. The script supervisor sent me the photo, and I go, I think I did. And it's just me being dragged on the floor. I'll send it to you so you can post it on the video.
Absolutely.
And that's where me and Ed became friends for 2 weeks. That was my favorite moment with him. Actually, you know what? I'll full circle it so we could end this. All right, but full circle story. 2 weeks later, like a week later, he happens to be playing the Hollywood Bowl, and I had just started seeing the girl, the ice cream girl. You know, just started seeing her and had like real like, oh my God, this is the one feelings. I'm driving by the Hollywood Bowl there, and I see, oh, she goes, Ed Sheeran's playing there. I go, no shit, I'll hit him up. She goes, yeah, right. And I was like, she didn't know I just met him. I go, yeah, we made out and stuff. She goes, what? I go, weird, whatever.
You had the good stuff.
Yeah, we had the good stuff, and we hooked up. So I text him. I go, hey, man. He goes, this is what I love about him, and you can relate to this. He goes, how many? You know how it is when people try to dance around tickets. Just get to the point. What do you want? I love that he's like, how many? And I go, oh. He goes, I'm closing the list soon. I go, 2. And he goes, I got you, mate. And he goes, see you tonight. And I'm like, literally from passing the sign to getting to Sunset, I went, we're good. And she goes, really? No. You know how insecure I am. I'm like, I don't think we are. What the fuck? There's no way. You know how many times I forget? Yeah. And I'm playing 200 people? This guy's playing the Hollywood Bowl. And I go, I forgot to let my uncles in. You know, like, anyway, I go back. She goes, are we really going to Ed Sheeran? I go, I guess so. She goes, are you messing? Is this one of your bits? And I was like, I don't fucking do those bits.
Yeah. What bit could that be?
Argument or weekend. So we're like really loving each other. Anyway, the whole time I said, let's Uber there. We Uber there. And I go, if the tickets aren't there, I don't want you to make me feel more embarrassed than I'll already be. Because they're probably not there. I start going on the list of people I forget. You know, my grandmother once. She didn't get to come to the show. I forgot to put her in, you know. Fuck. So just so you know, my parents never get in. So I'm just saying, like, doesn't mean I wasn't lying to you. Anyway, we go to the box office. And it's like, what can I do for you? I go, got tickets at the box office. Who gave them to you? Ed Sheeran. I know the concert. Who gave them to you? No, Ed Sheeran gave me the tickets. Okay, get out of here. What? And then my girl at the time, she goes, no, we have to go up there if he gave them to you. Like, past everything. And so now I'm thinking, how the fuck do you know that?
Yeah.
Who did you date? Yeah. So we go walking up the Hollywood Bowl side. There's this one lady with all these envelopes. I go, Brent Morin. Speak up. Brent Morin, Ed Sheeran gave me tickets. If they're not there, it's a whole day. It's fine. We'll go to the ArcLight. She goes, oh, here you are. So immediately I was like, told you. You know, she gets us front row center. The best 2 seats right there. Like 3 hours before the show. Perfect for him. I send a photo of this stage going, I must be a great kisser. He texts back, I love you, you cunt. By the way, for everybody in England, that's a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Okay. So we see the concert, emotional shit, feels great, blah, blah, blah. Afterward, I text him, hey, man, do you want to, that was awesome. If you want to get a drink, going to go to the Comedy Store. Good to see you. He goes, oh, I'm staying at the Undateable. I go, perfect. Come over. It's next door. Mm-hmm. He goes, I can't. I'm not drinking tonight. I'm having dinner with my ex. I go, well, then you are. So just hit me up later. LOL.
Yeah.
Not thinking I'd hear from him. We're at the Comedy Store. Get a message. Jason could attest to this because he was with me. He hits me up going, where you at, mate? And I was like, look who's back. And he goes, I'm at the Saddle Ranch. Come get a drink with us. I go, Why the Saddle Ranch? No, come to the Comedy Store. It's a private room. He goes, no, I'm with my crew. He hangs out with his crew guys. He's a great guy. So I said, all right. I said, Jason, do you want to come meet Ed Sheeran? And the girl I'm with, we go down there. We go to the back area of Saddle Ranch. First thing he does is he kisses me. The next thing he does is I go, this is my buddy Jason. I told you about the comics, one of my best friends. He goes, hey, mate, kisses him, pissed me off. I thought we had something. Then he says, I want to talk to you. And I said, sure. He starts talking about love and life, you know, and like, I didn't know if she's the one or not. And I was like, oh my God, your songs. And I say to him, I mean, this might be too revealing, this story. I go, can I be honest with you, man? I think I'm in love too. Like, I've never felt this way about somebody before. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. He goes, no, mate, you have to go for it. She's great. I love her. She's great. Go for it. So I should commit. Commit. He tells me to commit. Fucking asshole told me to commit. This woman ruined me. So I go, be the one. And then he goes, why did you wear that shirt? I had an H&M Hawaiian shirt on for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't plan on going anywhere. He goes, it's all I could see. Half the concert. I go, what the fuck is he wearing? And so that night I told that girl, I go, I want us to be boyfriend-girlfriend. Because Ed Sheeran told me. And
you got Ed Sheeran's blessing.
And I literally was like, if anybody knows love, Ed knows love. Cut to me crying 2.5 years later, like, please don't leave me, don't leave me. Therapy. Now he's married with kids. So there you go.
Oh my God. Bravo. That is the best story I think I've ever heard. That's incredible.
I'll have a photo of that too. I'll send too.
Yeah, dude. Why the Hawaiian shirt? That's all I could fucking see.
It really, once I looked at the photo, I was like, that does make sense. It's really aggressive. I don't know what I was wearing. It wasn't even a Hawaiian button-up. It was a Hawaiian T-shirt. It was like a real gross. It was just, I don't know what the hell the girl I was with was thinking or what I was thinking. And if you then down, and he's like, fucking change your fucking clothes. Like, he's like, how can I take you seriously, dude? You look like a fucking bad dad on vacation.
Dude, that is fucking amazing. So to wrap up, are you on tour
No.
now? No,
not right now. I'm working on trying to put together a new like official tour to end with shooting a special.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're finishing up the edit of I directed Jason's special.
Yeah.
So we're finishing that up, and then with the strike and everything, I'm just kind of floating right now.
Yeah.
But once I have it, BrentMorin.com.
Yeah.
Then
Hell
you'll
yeah.
be able to figure it out.
Well, I'm so glad that you came in, dude, and like the stories are incredible, but above all, I like that you that you're just able to wear who you are over the years and bring that to the way you are off stage as well as on stage. It's really cool, man.
Same, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
You're killer. Seriously.
Thanks, buddy.
See, he can't take the compliment.
I
either.
can't. It's Irish guilt, dude. I can't deal with it.
Yeah. We're deflectors.
Yeah, I can't do it. You fucking pussy. No time to talk to me about that. Anyway, all right. Good?
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Dude, awesome. Brent, that story is insane, bro.
Have you ever had a dream that you had to do so much you could do anything?